You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build a social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw, and today we're going to dive into all things social selling with Audrey. And Audrey is someone that, Audrey, you and I have been working together for probably the past year.
A year, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, about a year. And Audrey and I actually met because of her sister, who's also involved in a company that does social selling. She works with Beachbody. So it was sort of serendipitous that we were able to connect. And so I asked Audrey to be on the podcast because Audrey has so many strengths, but I think the one that I hear the most often is really about how to be your authentic self and really how to show up. How do you show up in a way that causes people to get that genuine factor? And I just feel like Audrey does such a great job of this. So I wanted to have her on to be able to ask her all the questions and really get a great idea of how she's done it and how she manages to work between a part-time job as a hairdresser, which I know that she absolutely loves, and then manages to run her social selling business as well. So welcome, Audrey. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you. I'm so honored.
So I wanted to first start with, can you explain a little bit about your rank with Bellamy?
So the rank that I am, it's called Platinum Executive Director, and we just revamped the comp plan. So now there's another rank above that, but this was the top of the company. And to get to this rank, you have to have a certain number of leaders, which we call them directors, and you have to have a certain group volume to hit that rank. So that's the requirements.
And you were number one in the company for recruiting and bringing in directors. Is that right?
Yeah, it was number one for promoting out level one directors, which director is our first kind of leadership rank. So I've had some rock stars join me.
And you've been with the company for a year and a half. So that is super impressive. How did you actually fall into getting into Bellamy?
It's so crazy. I feel like it was just kind of meant to be. I was with a company previous before this, and it was not, I don't know, it didn't really go anywhere. I think I learned a lot, but I don't know if I really tried that hard with it. And so I kind of took a break, and I was like, I've got to figure out how I can make money on social media, just because I knew it's such a genius way to make extra money. I obviously didn't want to go get a second job. I didn't want to have to work anymore. So I took some time to kind of figure out social media, figure out how to get a network of people. And then my best friend, one of her friends, heard of this new company that was about to launch. And she's like, I'm jumping on a call with the CEO. They're in pre-launch right now just so we can talk to her. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but that sounds fine. So we jumped on a call with the CEO and we talked for an hour. And I mean, we grilled her. We asked her every question. We were like, where's this company going? And she's honestly she really has a heart of gold. She's the sweetest, most genuine person ever. So we got off the call and my best friend's like, I'm joining right now. And I was like, okay. So then I joined, but I didn't tell a soul for a month. I just needed to process what was happening. I mean, it was kind of just a friend through a friend. It was kind of I feel like it fell into my lap a little bit. I got lucky.
And so I think there's a lot of people out there that get into social selling, and sometimes they have that question, is this company for me? Or is there another company out there that better suits me? So how did you know that this was the right fit for you once you got involved with Bellamy?
Because being a hairstylist, I like the beauty industry. I like helping people feel pretty. So for me, I feel like my vibe is more in the beauty industry. And I love health and wellness. I'm obsessed with health and wellness, but for some reason, the beauty industry really speaks to me. And got to sample products too. And I was really skeptical because I was thinking, I just don't really know if we need another like beauty industry in this, in the social selling world. And so I tried these samples and I instantly was like, what have I been missing out on? Like, these are so amazing. And my best friend said the same thing. And so I think just knowing that the products were going to be awesome, knowing the vision was going to be launching into cosmetics, I thought would be super fun. And after talking to the CEO and falling in love with her, I just felt like I've just got to do it.
And so it sounds like you sort of realized that maybe there was this gap in the market, that because you're in the beauty industry and really love those types of products, like, did you find that Bellamy that's what sort of happened, is they served up that gap in the market?
Yeah, because they're really like luxury, but clean. And I, like I said, I'm into health and wellness. So I try and eat organic. I try to clean my house with natural things. I try and stay out of the chemicals because I work in the chemical world being a hairstylist. So just seeing that they were upscale, they were luxury, everything was going to be toxic free. I just was like, this is amazing. Like, of course we need this.
That's amazing. And did you find that with companies that you worked for in the past, like that piece might have been missing?
Yeah, I think, I only worked for one other company in the past, and I just don't know if mentally I don't think it was the products. I just think mentally I wasn't ready to fully put myself out there with that company. I don't think it had anything to do with the products though.
I think that's a really good point, because I think sometimes as someone that's trying to run a side hustle or a full business, you can not understand what it is that's causing you to feel like your head's not in the game, or like something isn't clicking. And sometimes the timing just has to be right. And then things just can take off from there. I think that that's a really important point for, our listeners to understand. The timing has to be right.
Yes, I agree.
And how long did it really take for you to feel like you got the dots of social selling sort of connected for you?
I feel like I'm always trying to learn new things. So I wouldn't even say now. I still feel like I'm always trying to learn new things. And I would say I kind of got into my groove probably a year to feel more confident.
Right. Yeah. And there's so much to learn too. That's always the challenging part.
So much to learn. Yes.
Yeah. And especially when you have like family, another job, like all those pieces. So definitely like giving yourself that time to take it in. And sometimes it's like everything sort of builds upon each other. Like, cool, we know Instagram stories is going to be a big piece, but if you don't know how to do an Instagram post, like you got to learn one thing before the other. So it always takes a little bit longer that way.
Yes. Especially if you've never done it before. Everything is it's like a giant puzzle, and everything kind of fits together in a way. And if you just don't do one part of the puzzle, you're not going to get to where you need to be. But it could take a year to kind of get that puzzle all built up and, ready to go.
For sure. So I want to really jump into some of your biggest takeaways and learning lessons. But before we do, I just want to touch a little bit on the fact that, so you're a mom of 2 boys and you're a part-time hairdresser as well.
Yes.
And so how do you balance all those things? Because that's a question I get a lot, is that people are like, I just don't have time. And that seems to be the stumbling block. So what do you think that you've done to be able to balance all those things?
I wake up early. So I wake up before my family gets up, at least an hour. Sometimes just, if I want to sleep in and be a little bit lazy, I'll do like 30 minutes just so I can kind of get some stuff done. And I'll go to bed after my family goes to bed. That way I'm not missing out on anything. And the days that I am working, because I am part-time, but those days, I mean, I work like 12-hour days. I'm totally exhausted. I don't really have time to come up with some amazing content to post on my social media. So on those days, I really just focus on my team and answering messages. And then on the days that I have off, I have like basically a set schedule, like a work schedule of things that I know I have to get done that day. And I make sure that I do it. So I try and stay very consistent, because it's like, if you have a part-time job, so I just say Bellamy is my part-time job, I wouldn't just not show up to my job for a week. You know, I still am going to show up on the hours that I said I'm going to show up, even though it's up to me. So I've kind of set my schedule that way and I stick to it.
I love that. I once heard this example of someone saying that if you thought about how much effort and work you put in, would you pay yourself? Like, it begs the question, like, do you show up on time? Do you actually follow through on what you say you're going to do? And it sounds like that is a big part of your philosophy, is like, you're committed those days to what you set out to do.
Yeah. And if I'm doing something I normally wouldn't do, like if my kid's sick and they're at home with me, or I want to go to the park or something with my son, I still get those things done. It might just not be in the morning and it might not be at night. I'll just find little pockets here and there where I'm like, okay, I need to knock this out. Let's do it. And then I'll, get laundry done. And then I'll be like, okay, I have 10 more minutes. Let's do something else until I have basically my list of things I do done for that day.
And yeah, it sort of sounds like you're okay with it. I hear that all the time from moms. Like, I just have pockets of time during the day. And it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to get done.
Exactly. So true.
And so how much time would you say on average does it take, if you were to look at your week, to get all your social selling stuff done?
Oh my gosh, I've actually never calculated that. So I would probably say, I would say 10 hours a week-ish.
Awesome.
Is what I spend. Yeah.
That's great. Like, what an awesome way to maximize your time for all those, people out there that are like, oh, I don't have a lot of time. Like, that's a great amount. Like 10 hours.
You can find solid. 10 hours in your day. Yeah. And get pretty far in this business, but you do have to kind of efficiently use your time. Some people just scroll on social media and think they're working their business and they're scrolling and commenting on social media for 5 hours. And it's like, well, you just basically wasted 5 hours. You're not really making money doing that. So you have to kind of efficiently use your time.
Absolutely. And so if you were to look at your day and think about the most effective things that you can do when it comes to working your business, because I think a lot of us get sucked into that. Like, have you ever seen the productivity bar that comes up on your iPhone and it's like, this is how many hours you've spent on
You're
social?
Like, oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you find in your business is the most effective use of time on social? Like, what do you need to get done when you go on social?
One thing that I have done that has totally changed my working life is I've made a list of people. And I think I've honestly never had a list until about 6 months ago. I don't know. I would just scroll through my messenger, like, okay, who have I talked to? I would write notes on my phone, but I finally buckled down and I got a list together and I try and add to that list. So I try and do 5 people a day. I add to that list. And so I basically just have their name and then I have their social media link next to their name. So whenever I go to sit down to work, I can just click directly on who I want to see what they're up to. And I just kind of work myself down the list and I try and knock out 50 a day. 25 would be like minimum. So I'll sit down and do 25. And then if I'm busy, I will, try and come back and knock out the other 25. But I basically try and knock out 50 people on my list a day, see what they're up to. And that has it has made it go so much faster. And so where does the list get generated from? Is it always people that you've already talked to that you have sort of a warm connection with? It kind of comes from Oh my gosh, it comes from a lot of places. So I would say I really try. I work really hard on like my content, and I really try and bring in people. And it doesn't have to be about my business. It could just be like, moms, I need advice. And so after I've made that post, whoever likes or comments or engages in any sort of way, if I don't know who they are, I write their name down on a list and I put their little social media link. And then I kind of, check them out whenever I'm going through and doing my day-to-day work. If I find that my content is not bringing in as many people, if I need 5 a day, if I'm like, oh, that post, didn't really do as well, I will go, I've kind of branded myself for like few things. So I like DIY stuff. So I'll go and I'll search DIY hashtags and I'll find people through those hashtags. Or I do like hair tutorials. So I'll search hair hashtags and I'll find people through those things. So I try and find hashtags that relate to like my brand. If nobody's coming to me, then I go out and find the people, and that's kind of, who knows if they're actually going to be into it, but I put their name on the list and I'll try and get to know them that way.
I love that. That's one way that you are so recognizable. I was just at a retreat in Denver recently, and your sister was there. And I was telling everyone in the room there that that is one thing that you are just bomb at, is being able to, we always talk about it like you've got 5 fingers. One of them is what you're interested in and sell, but you've got to have 4 other things that are constantly bringing people in, because they have to trust you first before they're going to want to, take that relationship further in any way. Right. And I just think you do such a great job of your content. Was there a shift there where all of a sudden, you started focusing more on content?
I am a more introverted person. So for me, I like it better when people come to me. I think everybody would probably like it better for people to come to them. But I'm just not this bubbly, outgoing personality. I'm very more quiet and reserved. And so when I kind of took that time off between my last company and Bellamy, I kind of was just posting about myself on my social media. And I was realizing I was bringing a lot of people in. I was getting a lot of engagement. And I just thought, this is so interesting. It's almost like if you use your social media as a get to know me platform, you could have 50,000 followers and you could be the most educated person in your business and be posting pretty pictures and content. But if people don't feel like they know you, they're never going to trust you enough to buy from you. Yeah. So I just kind of flipped it into I'm going to use this as a get to know me platform. And then whenever I do talk about my business, people will trust me more because they know me as a person. Or I try to let them get to know me.
I love that get to know me platform. Whenever I talk about your social media posts, I always believe they should spark curiosity. That's not where you sell. That's where you gain that initial part of a relationship. It's sort of like dating, right? Someone sees your profile and they're like, oh, that's really interesting. I want to know more about this person. And I think sometimes in social selling, people don't get that memo. So they always feel it's awkward. Like you said, if you have this idea of I just want to share a little bit more about myself, then people will naturally come to you. And I think that that's sort of the secret sauce that, I think some people talk about it, but I don't know if they have simplified it maybe to that point, that's how it sort of gets going, gets people interested. And so they've interacted with your posts, you have your list, and then from there, would you reach out to them, or you just sort of follow their story and get to know them as well?
Yeah, I would do that. I would follow I would either watch their stories if they do stories and interact that way, ask them questions, get to know them a little bit better. And then whenever I feel comfortable, I would, I'll just ask them, is this something that you would be interested in? I think we would have so much fun working together. Have you ever thought about doing social selling before? Or would you be interested in looking into a new opportunity? Because you never know if you don't ask. And I always say it's like planting a seed. You have to plant the seed. Otherwise, nothing's going to grow. So you could be engaging and interacting and getting to know them. But if you're never physically hey, I want to work with you, or I think you'd be really good at this. You're just engaging and interacting. You're not really, gaining a business partner, a potential business partner.
Yeah. I love how you said that, because I often hear that when people are trying to put themselves out there, they'll be posting stories and hoping that people watch, but then they sort of are like a deer caught in headlights if like no one new is engaging. And that's like a big problem. So I really like how, one, you are active in terms of like knowing those hashtags and those people that have similar values, but you really treat it like, I call it like an emotional bank account. It's like you're investing in them because you want to get to know them better, and they're also investing in you. So it builds this trust tree sort of between you two. Mm-hmm. Do you ever find people that you start to, they engage and then you're sort of watching their stories and you're like, not my vibe? Like, does that ever happen?
Yeah. And I'll take them off my list.
I feel like you're like really probably
if they post
clear.
Something creepy or something.
Yeah.
Like, I just like, I don't know if I want to deal with that because the beauty of this industry is you get to choose who you want to work with. Mm-hmm. So I want to work with people that have the same values as me, that like the same things as me. Yeah. As you talk to the people who sign up under you, like on a daily basis. So I want to make sure that I keep this as an enjoyable thing. I don't want somebody joining that I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to talk to her. So I feel like you have to kind of get the bad seeds out and just only bring in people that you genuinely want to work with.
Yeah, I love that because I think that there can be in certain companies like pressure to get more people, but if they're not on brand and they're not your style, like it definitely just causes more problems down the road. And like you said, like how do you enjoy that fully if they're not your people?
Exactly. I know if you have a goal of signing up 4 partners in a month and you need one more partner to reach your goal, like I still would say, don't get desperate and just, try and sign with the people that you're not going to enjoy, because in the long run, it's going to make your day-to-day not as enjoyable as if you would have just not hit your goal for that 1 month and stuck to the people that you are going to enjoy hanging out with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. So in terms of, I always like to ask this question or think about it this way. So if at the end, let's say it's the last week of the month and you really knew that you wanted to ramp things up and it was like go time, what would be 2 or 3 key actions that you would take in order to ramp things up in your business?
That last week of the month, I always go and I see who have I sent samples to, who have I added. We have an opportunity group. Who have I added to the group? Who have I not followed up with, or who has not got back to me? And I just go down that list and I kind of follow with all of them. I usually try and do some sort of gift card. Like if you join now, I'll send you like a $20 gift card, or I'll, throw in like a lip gloss or something like that. I'm trying to close out my month. So I would love to offer you a free lip gloss if you're ready to join.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah.
So sometimes people feel like they get ghosted, and I think sometimes they can take it like super personally. How do you deal with that level of the business? Like when people do say no, how do you, or does that happen to you?
No, people say no all the time. Yes. I feel like people say no more than they say yes. So I think the only way to not let it bother you is by just getting a lot of no's. Because eventually you're just like, okay, I totally understand. Like, maybe it's just not the right time for you, but I'll still be here, if you ever decide that it is something that you want to look into. I really have learned to not take it personal, but I think that only comes from hearing a million no's. Like that's the only way to kind of get to that mindset.
To that point. Yeah, I love that. So just keep going after the no's. When I was working in the gym, we used to give people goals based on how many no's that they should be getting to sort of flip that mindset. Because it was like, okay, 100 no's, that's all you got to do today. Just get 100 no's. Yeah. Asking for leads and stuff like that. And it was cool because it's not like, oh, go get 25 leads. It was like, no, like, go get 100 no's and then we're cool. Yeah. Then we'll high five and you're done for the day. That's awesome. So I really like that shift in mindset. I think it's important to focus on like the discipline of the steps instead of focusing on the end result. Cause it's always up and down. And it's like, if you can it's like going to the gym, if you can, or getting your workout in, just get it done. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just
I know. And I've had so many people tell me no. And then 3 months later, they're like, okay, I think I'm ready. And so it's just important that at least you asked, because if you never would have asked and they never would have told you no, then they probably would never have joined you. So I don't think a no is a bad thing. Honestly, I think a no is just, they're just not ready. They need to watch you a little bit more. They need to get to a point in their life where they're needing something. And it has nothing to do with me. I read an article it was probably, 6 months or so on Pinterest. And it was like, it's almost like a waitress that's going around the restaurant who's offering coffee. She's just like, that's her job. She's like, hey, do you want some more coffee? And people, if you want coffee, you're like, sure, I'll take some coffee. But then some people are like, no, I don't want any coffee. Do you think she's going to quit her job because they said, no, I don't want any coffee? No, she just moves on to the next person. That's kind of how I view it. I'm just like, okay, she's not ready right now. It's totally fine.
I love that analogy. So bang on. It's so true.
I know it's true.
Yeah. So what would you say is maybe one or two of the biggest learning lessons that you've had in the business?
One thing I feel like is getting out of your comfort zone. And it is so hard. And that is, you just have to learn how to do it. And I think with my previous company, I wasn't willing to quite get out of my comfort zone like I wanted or like I needed to. And I think with this, my mindset's kind of switched where I'm like, if that makes me uncomfortable, I'm going to do it because that means that I have to do it. So I think getting out of your comfort zone is like the biggest thing. And you might think you're getting out of your comfort zone, but I promise you can get out of your comfort zone a little bit more than even you think that you can do it.
Yeah, love that. What do you think the biggest payoff has been for you with getting out of your comfort zone?
I think, more so than even just like growing this business, I think when you get out of your comfort zone, you just get this like sense of pride almost where you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. You might still be feeling like, oh my God, I'm embarrassed or, whatever, but you get this sort of sense of pride. And whenever you feel kind of proud of yourself, you really do feel like joy and happy. And so you just lead this life where you feel, you just lead like this happier life whenever you get out of your comfort zone. So I feel like if anybody's like down in the dumps or anything, I'm like, go do something that's going to make you proud of yourself. Go do something that's really hard where you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Like go run a marathon, I promise you when you're done with that marathon, you're going to be like crying because you're going to be so proud of yourself and you're going to feel so happy.
I love that. It falls into, there's a framework of happiness and there are 4 things that fall into that framework. The one that you talked about with perceived progress, that is a huge thing in that framework of happiness, is feeling like you're moving forward, you're accomplishing something, like you're continuing to push boundaries. So it's really cool that like you already knew that connection. Happiness and progress are linked together.
Yeah, I didn't know until I did that because I'm a very quiet, introverted person. Like in my ideal world, I would not be on social media. I would not be going on doing Instagram stories or Facebook Live. And I always felt happy, but for some reason now I just feel like, oh my gosh, I have the best life. And I do think that comes from, constantly pushing myself.
Yeah. And from the outside, it would seem that would be quite the opposite. Like you seem like such a natural at all of it. I was listening to an Oprah podcast this morning between Oprah and Amy Schumer. Like what a combination. So funny.
Seriously.
Yeah. And both of them were talking about how they're both introverted. And I thought that was it's just so interesting. Like the people that sometimes from the outside you think like, oh, they're just so social. They want to be that energy and the topic. It's like, no, they like need to lock themselves in the bathroom for 5 minutes at parties and stuff. Like I just need 5.
If you see me at an event, I'm not the person that's like mingling around. I'm like the person that's like, you can come and talk to me,
Yeah. When you took that step to be more outside of the box, how did you make that transition? I hear this all the time. I hear people don't like to take any selfies. There's all these variations of people just not feeling comfortable putting themselves out there. If you were to give them some advice of how to just get started, like one small step, what do you think that they could do to sort of just push themselves, even just nudge themselves just a little bit?
I always, anytime I'm about to do something hard, I think to myself, whenever I'm 90 years old, am I going to look back? Am I going to think, oh, I really wish I would have done that? Or am I going to think, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. That was so embarrassing. Am I going to look back with regret? Or am I going to look back and feel like, I'm happy that I tried it. Whatever the outcome was, like, I'm happy that I tried it. And I don't think anything you do today, you're going to look back at when you're 90 and be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I mean, unless it's something bad, but when it pertains to this business. So I'd always try and think that. And then I kind of talk myself up. I'm like, I can do hard things. I can do hard things. I say it over and over. And I even tell my kids now when they're about to do something, I'm like, you can do hard things. And they're like, yeah, I can do hard things. I'm like, yeah, it's not going to kill you. If somebody tells you no, you're not going to die. And so I think, is this really, let's say Facebook Live is your fear. Is going on Facebook Live going to kill you? No. Is it going to embarrass you? Maybe, you never know. But will you look back when you're 90 and be like, oh my gosh, I totally regret doing that Facebook Live? No, you're going to be like, man, that was so cool. I tried everything.
I love that. Yeah. It's almost like reverse engineering your brain, because it's like when we're afraid of something, our brain goes to like that fight or flight response, that reptile brain where we're not really thinking clearly and we think our life is in danger. So it's really cool, like that working of, backing it up a bit.
Yeah.
So what would you say for anyone that's really trying to hone in on what's working now on social, if you were to give them some advice about how to, if they're a social seller, how to just go at what's working, what advice would you give them?
I first would say, try and find a running buddy. I always tell everyone to try and find a running buddy, because I do this, my best friend and I do this together. So when she gets a customer or she gets a partner, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get a customer or partner. And we really kind of have this like competitive, not like we're competitive with each other, but I don't know, like if I get a partner, she's like, okay, I need to go get a partner. And if I didn't have her, I think I would be more like, I don't really feel like working today. And so I would say find a running buddy would be my biggest tip.
I love that. That's awesome. And I have one question about your Instagram stories, because you just do such a great job. How do you plan those out for the day? And like, how does that come together for you?
I don't. I do not plan my Instagram stories. Sometimes I'll have ideas, like if I'm just driving to work or wherever, I'll have ideas like, oh, I should start doing that on my Instagram, and I'll write it down in my little notes section. So if I'm not feeling like any inspiration that day, or if I'm just busy, I'll kind of go in my notes section and be like, okay, what did I write down? So
love that.
I really don't have a plan. I think my Instagram story is basically like, this is my life. That's another get to know me thing right there too.
Yeah. So you have a list of things. When you think of something, you write them down, which is awesome, because if you're like stuck for ideas, there it is. And so really the purpose of your Instagram stories is to really just allow people to have sort of the inside view of what's going on day to day for you.
Yeah, I think somebody told me a year ago, they're like, people, and I love reality TV. People like reality TV. Yeah. They don't want to just see this perfect put together life, or they don't just want to like see your kids, playing outside at the park. They want to see you. What are you doing? And so I kind of just talk about what I'm doing for the day. I'll slide business things in. If I'm wearing like lip gloss or something, I'll post something about my lip gloss. Or if I have been really talking to like a lot of prospects that day or something, I'll post something about like my story in my stories, because I know that they're going to watch it. So, I kind of just on a whim, like it's like whatever my vibe is that day is whatever I do on my stories.
I love that. So when it comes to the piece about sharing the product, it's just sort of like a more natural approach to it. Like if you're wearing the lip gloss, then you're going to post about that. What other examples would you have of stories that you would post about when it comes to the business side? I kind of think I would say almost anything. I feel like if people are watching and you're like out and about doing something, they're going to keep watching. And then you could slide in like, okay, I'm obsessed with the sunscreen. Even if it's not something that I'm personally selling, if there's something that I love, I'm going to be talking about it in my stories. Like, you guys need to go out and get the sunscreen. And then if they do go out and get that sunscreen and they like it, they're going to probably be like, okay, I liked that sunscreen that she recommended. Maybe I'm going to like this skincare that she's recommending. And so I try and just recommend like all of my favorite things. And if I don't like something, I'm not going to recommend it on my stories. Love it. So it is, I love that approach of like just sharing stuff that you like, that you love. Yeah. Because people will start to trust you, that know, like, and trust factor.
Yeah.
So I want to wrap up with a final question about anyone that is out there thinking about jumping into social selling, what are the things that they would need to do in order to know if they're right for this role? What do you think?
I would probably sit down and write maybe a couple things about why you're even considering it. Because I feel like if you're considering it, there's obviously something in your heart or some reason why. Like, do you want to be able to be a full-time stay-at-home mom? Do you, like for me, I love my job. I have no plans on, leaving my job. I will work until I can't work anymore. But for me, I really started because I wanted retirement money. Like I don't, I'm self-employed, so I do not get a 401k. I was like, okay, if I can make $500 a month and just be able to put that in my retirement fund for the next 10 years, like that would be awesome. I would just write down, like, what are some things that you could do with the extra money? Or maybe you're feeling like you need a little community of people and you don't really know where to start. I just kind of figure out why you're even considering it in the first place. I feel like if you have a little tug in your heart towards something, I'm a very spiritual person. So I feel like that's God kind of talking to you, like, go and do it, go and do it. And it's like, it's your choice whether you listen to it or not. But if it's planted in there to begin with, it's probably planted there for a reason.
I love that. Amazing. And so if people want to find you and reach out to you, where is the best place for them to do that?
My Instagram or Facebook. My Instagram is Audrey.Quinalty. It's a hard last name. Quinalty. And then my Instagram is just Audrey Quinalty.
Okay, perfect. Thank you everyone so much for listening. And we'll see you next time for episode 3.
If you're ready to go 100% in building the business of your dreams, I'd love for you to apply at ashleyshaw.ca/mastermind. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'll see you right back here for the next episode on Social Selling Simplified.